Hey everybody, it's Kelly with Inky Hands Warm Hearts. How are you guys? It is another week and I am using the Oh Holy Night suite. It's a mega suite, which means that it has two bundles. And one of the bundles is a hybrid bundle. That means it has a hybrid embossing folder. For those of you who don't know what that is, it just means that the embossing folder has room in it for a die to fit inside, and it can die cut and emboss at the same time. You don't have to use the folder that way. You don't have to use it with the die inside. If you use it the regular way, it's just a regular 3D embossing folder, so that's why it's called hybrid. So the first bundle is called Night Divine, and it has this gorgeous sentiments, and then it has this die set right here that has the nativity. It has a sheep over here by the king. There's a shepherd, Mary, Joseph, and the baby, a donkey, a cow, a camel, and an extra sheep. And of course, two clouds and the barn or nativity covering here. The Stars at Night bundle is the one with the hybrid embossing folder. So the Stars at Night has a couple sentiments, different star images, glows from stars, and these really cool little leaf pieces with berries on them, which I think is extra nice. The die set is amazing. There's a labeled die, which is made to cut this really pretty sentiment right here. And the hybrid embossing folder, which holds these three stars right here, are this outlined star dies right here, go with it. All that noise you're hearing is my daughter's bunny, who hangs out in my craft room, and he has decided that he's going to be loud today, probably because I'm recording videos. So if you hear that, that's what's going on in the background. I apologize, but not much I can do about it. Hopefully it's not too annoying. All right, so this is the card we're going to make. It has some ink blending, and I think it's really beautiful. The paper that I used here is called More Dazzle, and it's a 6x6 paper pack. You can see it has the bright gold and a more champagne gold paper. I used the more champagne colored one for the star, and this is ink blending in the background and on the sentiment. I have made hay at the bottom of my card, and then on the inside, the camel's inside, and some more ink blending to tie in the ink blending. I left it open so that you could put whatever sentiment you feel is appropriate, so I did not fill the inside with a sentiment for you. All right, let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to show you how I made this card. Now that I have explained this bundle, which today is the first day that I'm using the suite, so I do like to give it a nice explanation. All right, so let's get started. We're going to start with a piece of 8.5 by 5.5, and it is a piece of Night of Navy. We're going to grab our Simply scoreboard and our stylus, and we're gonna score it at 4 1/4. Sometimes I have these done and then sometimes I forget. All right, so we're gonna go ahead. The raised score mark is what we're gonna use. We're gonna join our corners here. And ta-da! For the inside of the card, we're going to be using a piece of basic white cardstock, and it is 4 inches by 5 1/4. I just realized that I haven't put my phone on Do Not Disturb, and I just don't want a phone call to ruin this recording, so give me a second to do that quickly. Apologize. All right, so the piece for the inside is 4 inches by 5 1/4. Let's go ahead and start some ink blending on it. So we're going to be using Azure Afternoon for this piece. And this is the paper that's scrapped behind us that I used for this. card when I made it. I save all of my printables that I use for showing you guys the different sales and things that are going on, and then I use those as my scraps to do this kind of ink blending on, which is always fun. All right, we're almost around the whole piece. Let me add a little bit more. All right, happy with that. I'm gonna close that for a minute. We'll go back to it, but not yet. We're gonna put the camel on the inside. See? And I did give them a little pass over with some crumb cake, so let me grab that. We're going to be using crumb cake for the sand. So I'm just going to go over the top and give them just a little bit of color, a little bit of tone, so that he just isn't flat. I think I need to re-ink my crumb cake ink pad. I do use it often. All right, so there's our little camel. Let's attach him on the inside. Grab my silicone mat and my wet adhesive. And I'm going to use my tweezers. Isn't he cool, this camel? I think he's awesome. I couldn't fit him on the front, so I put him on the inside. All right, and let's go ahead and attach this to the inside of our card. We'll be done with that part. See that pop of that lighter blue on that navy? I think it looks really pretty. So one section is done. Let's work on the outside of our card now. So I have a piece of Balmy Blue, and it is also 4 inches by 5 1/4. And we are going to start ink blending with Azure Afternoon. So we'll bring that ink pad back out. It's the one that I used around the edges of this white piece here. And we're gonna get it nice and inked up. And I always blend off, that's what all this is here. So we're gonna start our way around the outside. Doesn't matter if it's dark because it's going to get darker. I'm gonna use a darker ink. So you don't have to be as careful with this first blending. Especially on the outer edges, because like I said, we're going to be using Starry Sky, which is much darker than this color. But I want to get a base, and see how I'm working my way inside that lighter blue color. You can see a little bit of lightness there in the center. So that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to leave that light center and darken the rest. The one end doesn't matter as much because it's going to get the sand around it. But what you want to do is make sure that you leave a good glow. Right there in the middle. That should be fine. All right, we're gonna go ahead and do our darker color now. So the darker one is Starry Sky. That's super dark, see? So you want to make sure that you blend off. You don't have too much ink at a time. I just work the edge until I know that I've worked enough off of my brush that I'm not gonna give it a swirl that I can't remove, that I'm not gonna be happy with. So I'm just being really careful as I work my way around the edges. And this color is pretty intense, so a little bit goes a long way. Take your time when you use darker colors, because they, see right there, they cannot be removed easily. So you want to make sure that when you bring them in, they're not too intense. And then I'm gonna go back once I've done this darker color and put some more of that azure, because I want to make sure that I have the right amount of that. I think I need some right there. I think we're good with the darker color though. I am gonna use it to stamp, but I'm gonna close it for now, and let's finish ink blending. So we're gonna grab this azure, and we're gonna add a little color on that left side. I'm gonna pick up some, and this should be enough. So I wanna make sure that I add that other color so it's not just dark. Back in and around. All right, I'm very pleased with that. All right, so the final step is to add our stars in the sky. And to do that, I like to use a box because the splatter is real. I have squoze some basic or Whisper White craft ink onto this clear block, and then I've taken some Wink of Stella, and I have squozed some of that. I'm going to put a little more to help moisten that. See, just needs a little reactivating. Get it nice and wet. The Whisper White craft ink, it's way different. It's thick and it stays on your piece. So I just want to make sure here that we get it nice and wet. Let me grab my box so we can do some splattering. I had to move it out of the way because the bunny loves to bite cardboard, so I can't keep it in the way there. So let's move this out of the way, and we'll just put our card in here. You can see it's my splatter box, right? Let's pick up, I'm going to show you. I'm going to pick up some more. Ooh, that was a big one. I didn't mean to go that big, but it's okay. It might end up getting covered. Be careful that you don't do what I just did. Take your time and just keep going back in and picking up color when sometimes I use this like this and it does a better job. And then I'm going to be using you want to put a lot of stars in the sky because the night had that night star, right? the North Star. So you want to definitely get lots of small ones. All right, I think we're good because we're down at the bottom. We're going to have the sand. So I'm going to wipe this off. I'm going to grab my baby wipe. And I'm also going to clean off the tip of my Wink of Stella because I don't want all that white on there. And we can get some more flowing to the piece, but you definitely want to make sure that you clean it real good. And that's, I use my finger as my guide, see? All right, and let's clean off the lid here. And then when you're done with your block, you're just gonna wipe it off with a baby wipe. Nice and clean and back to normal. All right. Let's get the heat gun. That's the next step. So it's gonna be a little loud, but we gotta heat set, especially that big splatter there. The smaller ones are easier to dry, but those big ones, they take a moment. It's such a pretty look to have that night sky on there. And you can see that dot, it's just wet in the middle there. It keeps lifting and bubbling. But it'll dry eventually, and you'll be able to see that it'll stop raising up when it's dry. There we go. We're going to do the same thing to all the big spots. Keep your fingers away from the heat gun because it is very hot. Isn't that pretty? Look at all those stars. I'm quite pleased with how that turned out. All right, let's put the box away. My little box of splatter. I just save it for that very reason, and I think it works out rather good, don't you? That way you don't get a mess on your surface and you just have a good tool at your disposal. All right, on to the next step. We're going to make our all right, so for the first one, we're just going to tear the top, and you're just going to wiggle it back and forth. I try and keep it in one piece, but it doesn't always work out for me. Okay, so that's the first one. For this next one, well, after I had to change my blade on my trimmer after I cut this because I realized that it was it needed some help, but I figured I didn't need to recut them because since it was gonna be jagged anyway. So what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna tear down the center of this. So I'm just gonna work my way. You see how I'm pulling back and forth, not just one direction. Okay, and then these are gonna get flipped over like this, and then this one is gonna get put behind. Let me see how long these were. They were 1 inch wide, I think they're 4 inches. Yep, 4 inches by 1. There was 2 pieces. And then we're going to discard this part. And so we're going to go ahead and glue the layers together. So I'm going to bring my silicone mat. And when you glue them, you want to just put glue along the bottom straight edge because you want to be able to tuck the barn animals in. And if you put glue too high up, you're not going to be able to tuck them. So we're going to start on this one. We're going to put along this bottom edge so that I can put some animals tucked in there. All right, so we're going to put this one on top, and we want the jagged edge near the jagged edge, like that. Just make sure that it's straight. See how it's like wonky right now? So you want to move it so that the edges are straight and there's nothing sticking out. That'll let you know that you have done it properly. Okay, there's that one. All right, so we have one down. Now we're going to put it against this one. All right, and as you can see, you can see it, but you can't see it really well. And what we're gonna do next is gonna take it to that next level. So we're gonna grab our crumb cake ink, move our silicone mat out of the way, and we are going to give it some texture by running the crumb cake ink along those torn pieces, and then they're going to start to pop out, and then you have your sand or straw areas. Sometimes I use this for beach also, but this helps to give you those different variations. Doesn't that look great? All right, so we're gonna take our donkey, and he is gonna be tucked in about here. You want his little foot to be out so you can see him. So I'm gonna put a little bit of adhesive on his bottom edge and leave the top of him. And then I'm gonna take a mini glue dot and I'm gonna put it at his head so that it doesn't stay flat. It gives him a little bit of dimension, and it looks like he's raising his head up. So I'm gonna peel that off, and we're gonna tuck him in over here behind that piece, but we want his little front paw sticking out. And see, by pushing that like that, it gives him some height to his head, and he's not as flat. We're gonna put the cow down here, gonna find him. Here he is, and we're going to do the same thing. We're going to put a dimensional on his head and glue on the bottom edge. All right, oops, I didn't have him held very well, did I? All right, so we're gonna lift that so that it will tuck right there. We're gonna put our little cow right here. Isn't he cute? Oh my gosh, he's so cute. So there's our cow. And we'll wait on the sheep because we don't know where we're gonna place him based on the nativity scene. So we're gonna just leave him for right now. So the next thing we're gonna do is attach our nativity people. We're going to just lay them there temporarily, and I've already put all the dimensionals on the back of this piece, and I have to figure out, I want it to be about there. I have to figure out where this is going to go. So that's good, like so. So let's go ahead and start removing some of the backs. I'm not going to put them down until I know where the sand's going to be, or the straw. I mean, keep calling it sand. But I mean straw in this instance. All right, so we're gonna take the backs off of these pieces. Some of them I thought that they were off, but then I was like, wait a minute. All right. Let's work on, whoops. I got them stuck to my finger when I tried to purge them into the trash can. The fight to get rid of the dimensional backs. It's a struggle. They like to stick to everything, don't they? All right, now we're off. All right, so for this piece, the way that I have decided to attach it is to make sure it's near the top and that it's even on both sides. So I'm not going to press it. I'm just going to put the tip and lay it in case I have to move it. I'm just going to let it sit and look at it. I think that looks good, but this is crooked. So we're gonna kind of adjust. So there's that. And to make sure that this one comes over. Good. All right, press that into place. We're gonna put adhesive on this bottom edge and we're gonna leave room, and we're gonna glue the sides as well. So, but not the top, because we want to be able to tuck our nativity scene in there. And you want to be generous. This is pretty thick. So be generous on those 3 sides. So we're going to put this at the bottom. It's going to be right up against this piece. So there and there. And oops. Make sure that the sides match up, and you're going to press that into place first and hold, and then the bottom. And then if you have to trim anything off because you're a little off, then you'll do that at the end. But really hold the sides and then do the bottom. I'm going to flip it over. See how I have a little bit sticking out? So I'm going to trim that with my scissors, make it even. Just a very small fraction. All right, so now we're even at the bottom. And we have to hold this in place and make sure that it stays stuck. One thing I like to use also, as you guys know, is my roller. So I'm going to just roll that edge right along that bottom edge. All right. Now we can attach our little nativity. It could be tucked in. So we're going to go ahead and flip that over and put adhesive on the different parts. All right, they have glue, tweezers, move this side of the way, and slide that under. See how beautiful that lighter balmy blue that's still showing is? And I'm gonna run my roller across the top here and then just press with my fingers and just make sure that we got it down. That looks good. Still have that one star, but it's just a bright star. It's just not as bright as the one we're gonna put on. All right, let's add our little sheep. So for our sheep, I want the sheep near the shepherd. I was gonna put it tucked in here. I think I still will. So we're going to put a little bit on the feet, but we're also going to put a little on the body because it's going to be leaning against that pole. See what a mess I make. Oh my gosh, I make such a mess with all my stuff. By the time I'm done, it takes forever to clean up. Let's see. So let's go ahead and put that there, and then in the middle where the little sheep is going to lean against the post. So tucked in the final layer right there. Make sure, there we go. Perfect. Just right against that post. All right. Now comes attaching this to our base. So we're gonna go ahead and wipe off any glue and let's get some on the back of our card. So you build your little scene. Just like that. That looks pretty awesome. I'm very pleased with that. All right, let's work on our sentiment, and the star will be the finishing touch. So for the sentiment, we are going to use a scrap of basic white cardstock, and I'm going to grab my Starry Sky ink and my stamp that says Oh Holy Night. It's inked rather well. So I'm going to bring this down so I can see what I'm doing. Hopefully I'm not out of camera, but I don't want to miss and not get on the white because I can't really see it very good when it's far up. All right, so we're going to go ahead and add that. Perfect. See how I had to be careful to make sure I got it on there. Let's clean our stamp. All right, all clean. And the last color that we're going to use is Azure. So I'm gonna have that out and ready. All right, we're going to fussy cut this. So let me grab my scissors. I don't know where I'm gonna start, maybe up here. So we're gonna work our way around our words, and I really wanted it to not detract from the top of our barn, stable, whatever you call it. I think the stable is the modern day barn, right? So we're gonna come in here and then go back out around the N, and then I'm gonna go around that curve like I did around that little loop on the O, and come in and down and around down. I didn't go that deep on the first one, but I think I really like that. I'll have to be careful when I'm doing my ink blending. All right, so we're gonna go around the G, the H, and the T. Such a beautiful sentiment. I love the script that they chose. And I'm gonna leave that T so and not dip in because I really need support. I was not thinking when I went around that, but it is what it is. I can't go back in time. So we're gonna come around there and back. I just need to have some stability around my letters or it's gonna tear when I do ink blending. So hopefully it won't. With how much I cut around that end, but nothing I can do about it now. All right, we're gonna come around this L. We're more than halfway done now. And so when I get down to the O, I definitely want to get rid of all this extra paper above the O, but I'm not going to go deep in there. I'm going to go around this H, and I'm just going to slightly dip around it here. I'm going to go just down and up like that. Same around here. We're going to come down and then back out and around the O. Hopefully I won't tear that N. All right, so there's our Oh Holy Night fussy cut. We're going to take our scrap paper and our Azure, dip in, and we're going to start on the edges first. And I have to be careful around those edges that are delicate. For example, that N here. So I'm gonna just take my time. I don't want to tear those pieces. I made it a little difficult on myself. All right, so now that I've done most of that dark edge, I'm gonna press a little harder and get a nice darkness all the way around. I need this dip here. That needs to be darkened. There we go. And then whatever's left on the brush, I'm just gonna lightly go over the top and start to darken the white so that it will blend into the background of our card, the sky. I don't want it to be stark. I don't want to take away from that pretty sky that we took the time to splatter and show all those pretty stars. All right, there's our Oh Holy Night. So I just am attaching this with wet adhesive, and so I'm just going to put it right in the center here. There we go. Like that. Okay. And then this piece will be lifted up and attached on top of our... See how it blends in pretty with... I'm going to put that there to give it some support, I think. Yeah. All right. Oh Holy Night. And the finishing touch, if I can find it, if I haven't lost it, is our more Dazzle paper star. So I'm going to put a mini dimensional on the back in the center. And I'm going to hold this up so that I make sure I'm in the center of my card. And it's going to be right underneath that Oh Holy Night. And when I'm happy with the placement, then I will press. And I think that turned out fantastic. What do you guys think? So once again, we used the Night Divine, which is the sentiment set, and the nativity dies, the Stars at Night, and the hybrid Stars at Night, hybrid embossing folder and dies. Here's the folder. And I'm pretty happy with my card. Let me know what you think. Leave me a comment, share my video, subscribe if you are new to my channel. I appreciate having you here. Thanks for being a part of this card making process, and I hope you'll come back. I will have a live on Tuesday night at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time and on Thursday afternoon at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. The replays are always there for you if you need them, and I appreciate having you with me today. Thanks for joining me as I initially showed off this gorgeous Mega Bundle Oh Holy Night Suite from the mini catalog. Thanks for being here, guys. This is Kelly with Inky Hands Warm Hearts. Happy stamping!